Buenos días. Feliz viernes a todos ustedes. Espero que estén teniendo una excelente mañana. Fin de semana, a punto de darle con todo después de una semana bastante activa, entretenida en todo lo que es los mercados. No me puedo borrar la sonrisa, tíos. Imagínate cómo me siento de simplemente la satisfacción de haber aprendido lo que hemos estado viviendo. Y si se preguntan por qué vergas estás diciendo eso, simplemente en los últimos años nos ha ido bastante bien analizando la bolsa, analizando el mercado. Y el día de hoy vamos a platicar. Quiero decirles que atentos, todavía no, definitivamente no hemos visto fondo. Para todos los que están aprendiendo aquí cómo leo los mercados, para que ustedes también lo puedan aplicar en todos lados, ¿por qué no hemos tocado fondo? Es la pregunta que les tengo. Ponle pausa a este video y ponlo abajo, porque vamos a aprender juntos esto, ¿no? Porque te lo tengo que martillar en la cabeza hasta que se te grabe, cabrón. Porque si estás viendo tu TikTok ahorita en lo que estás escuchando este video y estás poniendo atención a otra cosa en lo que estás escuchando mi voz, te estás perdiendo, cabrón. Pon atención. Ok, si ya pusiste tu respuesta, ahí te va, bastante sencillo. ¿Por qué no hemos visto el fondo todavía? ¿Tiene algo que ver con actividad económica? ¿Tiene algo que ver con... ¿Tiene algo que ver con timing? ¿Con qué tiene que ver? La cosa más sencilla para ver cuando vas a buscar un fondo normalmente es malas noticias. Y cuando digo malas noticias, no estoy hablando de que pongan en un blog post, güey, la economía va a ir a una recesión. Tiene que todo el mundo estar hablando de ello. Tengo que ir a comer con alguien y que esa persona que no se dedica a la bolsa, que se dedica y tiene otras empresas, me diga, vamos a estar en una recesión. Eso pasó literalmente en el fondo de los aranceles cuando me senté con un amigo mío que tiene una empresa que se dedica a algo muy diferente a lo que todo el mundo se imaginaría. Me siento con él y lo primero que me dice es que está en una recesión en Estados Unidos. Y le digo, pues, ¿qué ha cambiado ahora, güey? ¿No? Aparte, ya habíamos dicho, tenemos las bajas en ventas, pero ahora, ¿por qué oficialmente es una recesión? ¿No? Porque este güey también me dijo que la inflación venía con todo, ¿no? Y me dice, no, pues, como no, ve la bolsa, ve dónde está la bolsa, estamos perdiendo todo. Y le digo, güey, llevas invirtiendo en la bolsa, este es un señor, llevas invirtiendo en la bolsa 30 años. ¿Qué tanto puedes estar abajo en realidad? Y me dice, no sé, pero todo está muy abajo. Y le digo, no, ahorita es momento de comprar. Cuando me dijo eso, me registró y luego vi a Donald Trump diciendo, va a ser la recesión más hermosa del mundo. Y dije, ok, esto fue el fondo, ¿no? Y nos fue muy bien en nuestras compras. Bien. Ahora, entramos en este punto para que mucha gente lo comprenda. ¿Por qué no hemos tocado fondo? Porque no nos han dado malas noticias. Esto quiere decir que va a continuar. Y esta es una de las cosas más divertidas que he visto en el mercado. No nos están diciendo por qué hay una caída. Esta vez están dejando a todos ustedes especular y ustedes crear la narrativa y ellos le están subiendo volúmenes a la narrativa. Hay muchas narrativas diferentes. Y normalmente quiero que sepan que la manera en la que usan este miedo en contra suyo y cómo lo van a empezar a empujar ahorita para que la gente se espante más y más y cuando te tiren la peor noticia, eso sea el fondo, porque ahorita lo que van a hacer es poco a poco espantarte y lo estás viendo. Sale gente ahorita y está platicando güey, hay un inversor quiero que entiendan esto, ¿no? Hay un inversor que le pegó ahorita al tope de Bitcoin y luego a dos cosas, ¿no? Y ahora ya le escriben todo el mundo, el inversor más notorio. Eso es mentira. Eso es mentira. Un güey que se llama No Limit. Lo están poniendo enfrente de ti para darte miedo. ¿Ok? Si buscaran de verdad buenos inversores, podrían encontrar en nuestra comunidad a varios. ¿No? Después de esta pinche sube y baja que nos hemos aventado en este pinche canal todos juntos desde octubre del 2023 como pinches soldados. ¿Por qué no me hablan y me preguntan, güey, ¿qué está pasando? ¿No? No, un inversionista anónimo de aquellos que nadie conoce, aquí está la verdad. Y ahora, esto te lo dicen. ¿Por qué les digo esto más bien? Porque No Limit ahorita, esto es un ejemplo de lo que les van a hacer de aquí a que lleguemos al fondo. Lo que te van a hacer ahorita es, van a subirle al volumen a las narrativas de gente que ellos han escogido. No Limit, por ejemplo, que está diciendo que, güey, Bitcoin no tiene un límite de 20. Ahora, cuando estoy hablando de mercado bajista, de que todo está bajando, no estoy hablando solo de cripto, estoy hablando de todo. Todo está en la mierda, menos 3, 4 cosas, ¿ok? Entonces, cuando hablan de este güey, cuando este güey se pone enfrente de todos nosotros y nos viene a decir que no hay 21 millones de bitcoins, el supply es completamente ilimitado y puedes generar la mayor cantidad de eso con paper trading, todo esto. Hace años, cuando sacaron esto en ETFs, les dije eso. Y lo único que recibí fueron mentadas de madre, que estoy de acuerdo, perfecto. ¿De qué puta madre sé que estoy hablando? Nunca sé lo que estoy hablando. Pero ahora, ¿por qué se vuelve una historia? Y ahora, esto es lo que quiero que entiendan. Eso es real. Tienes que ser, en realidad no, en realidad es sorprendente cómo la gente tiene fe y confianza en algo que no existe. Es completamente loco, pero bueno, les digo porque no es obvio para mucha gente, pero debería de ser para niños chiquitos que puedas entender que obviamente pueden emitir más Bitcoin del que dicen. Y aquí una vez más, no me voy a pelear con ustedes. Si dices, no, güey, es que tienes que tener uno a uno de, ok, perfecto, güey, está de huevos. ¿Cómo va la inflación, por cierto? ¿Bien? Ok. Eh, ¿Cómo va la manipulación de mercados una vez a la semana? Bien, solamente esa vez, no es cuando los manipulan. Es toda una construcción de pendejadas. Cuando te están aventando algo que es completamente real, lo están haciendo para espantarte. Están haciendo esto con dos ejemplos claros. Lo están haciendo uno con el de Bitcoin. No, lo están haciendo con tres ejemplos claros. Lo están haciendo con Bitcoin, hay más de 21 millones, bla, 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 y lo van a empezar a empujar a todos lados porque tienes que agarrar a toda la gente nueva o a la gente que literalmente jamás va a aprender nada y follártelos por el culo a través de la boca, ¿no? Para que sea gráfico. Y esa es una narrativa, la de, güey, recuerda, ten miedo porque hay más Bitcoin del que dicen, entonces se va a devaluar más de lo que dicen. Bien. Dos, Jeffrey Epstein creó Bitcoin. Ahora, ¿te importa que haya sido Jeffrey Epstein o que haya sido cualquier otro güey en Estados Unidos? Porque es lo que pasó. Sé que todavía no lo creen, ¿no? Fue Satoshi Nakamoto, el mejor ser humano del mundo. Pero fue Estados Unidos y la red de pedófilos, sea con o sin Jeffrey Epstein. Esto no es noticia nueva, una vez más, lo están usando para espantarte y prepararte para el espanto fuerte que será el fondo. Tres, Binance es insolvente. Güey, Binance va a quebrar. El chinito de mierda este que está vendiendo. Por cierto, que le están tirando toda la mierda así y todo esto en el mercado bajista. O sea, él está manipulando el mercado. ¿Por qué no tiene un cuadrillón de dólares y puede manipular el mercado? Ahora, sí lo puede, entre todos ellos no lo manipulan, lo manejan. Nosotros somos los imbéciles que creemos que es libre, pero ellos manejan el mercado. Entonces, todo esto es una bola de cosas que no tienen sentido. Para nada, en todo lo que está diciendo la gente. ¿Por qué estamos viendo esta caída? Que mucha gente no lo comprende. ¿Por qué vi esta caída hace un año? ¿Por qué la canté hace un año? Por varios factores. Tienes que entender varias cosas aquí. Uno, no puedes pelearte con ciclos. No puedes. No puedes. La vida, y esto se los digo de todo corazón, y sé que suena muy pinche hippie para la gente que está aquí para aprender de finanzas y economía, pero una vez más, puedes ir a la universidad a que te den un diploma y escribir libros y no captar que la inflación está bajando, ¿no? Puedes hacer todo eso o puedes simplemente acercarte a esto de una manera que es lógica, sin todo el ruido y solamente viéndolo. Y esa es mi idea, eso es lo que quiero que ustedes hagan. Y para esto, ¿qué hay? Ciclos. En la vida todo se repite. Todo. Todo en tu puta vida se repite hasta que pasas el nivel. ¿Ok? Y un ejemplo muy tonto es la gente que sale con el mismo tipo de persona, ¿no? La amiga de Belén que sale con el mismo güey tatuado, bien bronceado, mamado, idéntico, ¿no? Que se coge a todas las viejas del mundo. Y la vieja esta dice, no entiendo por qué todos los hombres que encuentro son patanes. Bueno, pendeja, estás yendo en un círculo a mamarle el culo de vuelta una y otra vez al mismo tipo de güey. ¿Qué crees que va a pasar? Está el güey que se pelea con sus amigos y luego va de vuelta. Y se pelea con ellos y va de vuelta. Y es como que nada cambia, pero sigue. Nada cambia, pero regresa. Nada cambia, pero regresa. Es muy importante entender esto. Estos ciclos de todo. Los ciclos, el mundo, nuestra realidad está construida en esto. Y sobre todo nuestro sistema de financiero funciona en ciclos. Venimos de un ciclo de 100 años donde hay 3 ciclos de 33 años y ahora Si vas a decirme, güey, el ciclo ya duró medio mes más, un mes más, todo es fluido. Todo, hay ciclos que en vez de 33 duran 30, otros que duran 36, ¿no? Entonces, 100 años, 3 de 33 años, 3, digo, dentro del 33 años, hay 2 de 16 años, y adentro de esos hay 2 de 8 años, y adentro de esos adentro del de 8 años, hay 2 de 4 años. ¿Por qué te digo esto? Porque uno, el ciclo de Bitcoin no es el ciclo de Bitcoin, es un ciclo de liquidez constante de cada 4 años. ¿Por qué? Y para la gente que no comprenda esto y que quiera meterse en un millón de pedos mentales y quiera intentar explicarlo así, es bien fácil. Imprimimos dinero cada 4 años, esperamos a que se vaya y regresamos a volverlo a hacer. Ahora, cuando imprimimos mucho dinero, podemos 4 años después imprimir menos y salirnos con la nuestra y continuar rallies. Eso es un ciclo de 8 años. En el que estamos a punto, en el que estamos terminando, es un ciclo de 16 años. Es el ciclo del 2008. ¿Recuerdan cómo acabó el ciclo del 2008? Todo esto acaba igual, cabrones. Todo esto es idéntico, idéntico. Y ahora, si no me quieren creer, entonces pregúntense, ¿cómo vergas este pendejo que no sabe nada le atinó a esto? ¿Es más complicado que esto? Piénsalo, en serio. Un güey que no fue a la escuela, no acabé la prepa, pero no la acabé, nunca pasé biología, ¿ok? Soy un retrasado mental, perdedor, no sé hacer nada, no he hecho nada en mi vida que merezca un mérito. ¿Cómo verga sé esto? Porque es así de fácil. Porque es así de fácil. Quien te esté vendiendo porque tuvo que ir a la escuela por 8 años y pagar no sé cuánto tiempo, que esto funciona de otra manera, es así de fácil. La otra cosa, tiene ciclos monetarios. Y una vez más, la otra cosa que funciona con todo esto es la divinidad de no solamente ver los ciclos monetarios, pero también ver cómo las noticias mueven el racionamiento de la gente. Cuando combinas todo eso, te das cuenta. Llegamos a un momento donde encontramos un fondo. ¿Saben qué se siente como un fondo? El dólar. Cuando entras en el dólar y todo el mundo te está mentando la madre, aunque dije, el dólar va a bajar y va a encontrar piso en estas fechas. ¿Cómo va tu dólar? Tu predicción del dólar, pendejo. Ese tipo de comportamiento irracional y completamente retrasado mental es justamente lo que suena un fondo. Y encima de eso me tiras las malas noticias de que ya el dólar se va a ir a cero, Donald Trump quiere apoyar a Bitcoin y que, ¿cómo se llama? Xi Jinping va a sacar la moneda reserva internacional con el yuan digital. Todo esto está diseñado y aprovechado y abusado en el hecho de que todos ustedes, todos nosotros, creemos ciegamente todo lo que nos dicen. Si te puedes salir de esto y puedes ver la realidad por lo que es, no una realidad. Si puedes salirte de eso y no meterte en estos pedos. Lo, el problema que tienen es que están jugando, y esto es algo que les tiene que quedar muy claro, están jugando un juego brillante de manipulación. ¿Cómo manipulas a la gente? A la gente la manipulas metiéndoles ideas a la cabeza. ¿Cómo le metes a alguien una idea a la cabeza? No contándolo. A alguien le metes una idea en la cabeza dejando que ellos crean que ellos llegaron a esa conclusión. Así es como Por eso todos tus pacos favoritos hablan de lo mismo, tienen el mismo resultado, de la misma información que sacan todos, porque literalmente las noticias están diseñadas para que el Paco diga, ¡ah! Aquí hay esto. ¡Ah! Aquí hay esto. Las noticias no dijeron esto, pero yo, el ser más inteligente del planeta, Paco Morales Rodríguez, acabo de descubrir que el dólar se va a ir a cero. No, te dicen, les voy a dar un ejemplo muy estúpido. Güey, ahora con los aranceles de Trump la inflación va a subir, ¿no? Y aquí dices, qué te están mensajeando? Para el básico, la persona más ignorante en este sistema, lo que están creyendo que les están mensajeando es que va a haber inflación. Ahora, ellos no lo van a dudar. Ellos instantáneamente, como han visto en todos tus pacos favoritos, te dijeron todo este año que la inflación iba a subir. ¿Cómo van? Una vez más, yo no quiero que dejes de ver a tu paco, quiero que entiendas que es un paco. Esto es lo que yo quiero. que entiendas que ese güey que se viste bien, que se pone una corbatita, que se pone su trajecito, que habla como si fuera un erudito de las finanzas, ese idiota le están dando mierda a cucharadas y se le está comiendo toda. ¿Ok? Entonces le vendieron la idea sencilla y él se la tomó entera. Y eso es, va a haber más inflación. ¿Por qué te están diciendo que va a haber más inflación? ¿Por qué va a haber más inflación? No. ¿Para que te equivoques con la inflación? Sí. ¿Pero por qué más? Porque la última vez que tuviste ese tipo de inflación, todo subió de precio. ¿Se acuerdan? En el 2020, cuando tuvimos inflación, todo subió de precio, incluyendo las acciones, absolutamente todo. Lo último que acaba de pasar es lo que te van a hacer, porque la gente entiende que los ciclos se repiten, pero no son idénticos. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que están haciendo en este momento? Están haciendo que todo el mundo piense, y esto se los dije hace un año, están haciéndolos a todos ustedes pensar que viene otra vez el 2020, 21, y no lo es. Es lo contrario. ¿Y ven cómo lo hicieron? Te dieron una noticia que habla de algo que te hace razonar. Güey, pero si va a haber inflación, la última vez que hubo inflación, la bolsa subió. Entonces tienes a gente diciendo, este es el rebote que nos va a llevar a incinerar a los otros. ¿Cómo van? No funciona la bolsa. Es más fácil de lo que te dicen, güey. Esto es todo lo que quiero que pase a todos ustedes. Que entiendan literalmente, estamos en una oportunidad de la década o de más. No voy a entrar en detalle en esto, pero también se los voy a decir para los que quieran y estén interesados. Si esto es un drawdown, porque ahora es imposible para mí decirles que esto va a durar 1 año, 2 años, 5 años o 6 meses. Acá lo tengo que jugar paso a paso porque depende de cómo vayan a distribuir lo que van a distribuir en liquidez, ¿no? Pero les digo esto, si no hay un problema grande de aquí a fin de año que tengan que resolver con un chingo de dinero, y estoy hablando de un problema grande de que tengas que imprimir la cantidad de dinero de COVID. No estoy diciendo ni adivinando qué es lo que va a pasar, no me importa. Si no hay algo así, para diciembre, todo bienes raíces en Estados Unidos va a estar en la mierda. ¿Por qué? La razón es sencilla. El efecto riqueza estaba antes en bienes raíces, en este ciclo está en acciones. Cuando quitas y destruyes el efecto riqueza, lo sacas de las acciones, la gente ya no tiene más y va al segundo asset que quieren vender, la casa. Se tienen que salir de ello. Sobre todo cuando consideras, si esto sigue como les estoy diciendo, y a verano van a bajar los intereses. Y una vez más, los intereses van a bajar naturalmente, no van a tener que imprimir extra dinero, ¿ok? Cuando bajen los intereses y cuando el mercado siga estancado y la bolsa esté abajo, la gente va a vender. Y eso va a causar una cantidad de casas saliendo al mismo tiempo a ser listas, porque una vez más, toda la gente está escuchando a Paco. Paco les está diciendo a todos, en cuanto bajen los intereses, los precios de las casas van a subir. Y toda la gente que es igual de lista, que cayó en lo de la inflación, que cayó con que este mercado iba a continuar para arriba, que cayó con todas las pendejas, todos van a tener la misma pinche idea. Yo no sé nada de los mercados. Yo solo sé lo pendejos que somos los humanos. Es lo único que sé. Y sé que todos van a creer que son unos genios poniendo su casa a la venta al mismo tiempo, porque ahora sí bajaron los intereses. Ve qué genio soy. Los precios no bajaron, pero los intereses sí. A la semana, cuando te des cuenta que nada está vendiendo más que la casa del vecino que la bajó 30%, y cuando veas el pánico de todos, va a ocurrir. Ahora, una vez más, esto es a fin de año en Estados Unidos. Si esto continúa y se tarda tal cual, si nos quedamos en este nivel tal cual y nos quedamos de aquí a fin de año, con eso es suficiente para que tengan una idea. Eso es lo que está pasando. Estamos en el final de un ciclo económico. Lo que no me queda completamente claro es si es el de 100 años o no. Si es el de 100 años, que debería de ser, deberíamos de ver algo horrendo pasar en la bolsa. Horrendo. Pero, una vez más, no estoy aquí para predecir nada, solamente estoy viendo lo que está pasando. Recuerden, no predije que iba a pasar esto. Lo vi en el presente. Va a venir inflación. Mejor compra tu coche de una vez. Ah, para los que no aprendieron, el gobierno nunca te quiere ayudar. Si te están diciendo que gastes porque va a subir de precio, va a bajar de precio. cabrones, si no despertamos después del 2020, estamos jodidos. Les mando un abrazo. Con esto, vámonos directamente los quiero invitar en realidad al Discord de Elite Trading Academy. Ahí es donde tengo, damas y caballeros, mis estúpidos análisis. Aquí les estoy manteniendo al tanto. Déjenme ver cómo se ve esto. Ok. Aquí los estoy manteniendo al tanto de, de lo que estoy haciendo con mis trades. Les había compartido que la volatilidad en el Bitcoin de 2 semanas estaba explotando a la alza, ya reventó y obviamente nos caímos de 78,000 hasta 60,000, así que nada mal. Aquí lo tuvieron, no antes, mucha gente seguramente lo vio también. Y acá voy a dividir mis entradas. Acabo de comprar Circle, acabo de comprar Coinbase. Circle lo compré 82% abajo del alto histórico. Coinbase. Y una vez más, aquí les estoy diciendo, estoy dividiendo mis entradas en 4, etcétera, y les voy a seguir contando. La razón por la que entro ahorita sabiendo que va a bajar más la bolsa es sencillamente para protegerme de cualquier cosa que yo no sepa. Ya estoy en un punto donde estoy contento con el promedio que voy a obtener, tengo mis objetivos, estoy viendo todo, tengo mi lana aparte, mi contingencia que la he planeado con todos ustedes para que la tengamos lista por cualquier cosa. Caigan a nuestro Discord y aquí es completamente gratis todas las pendejadas que les digo de esto. Aquí lo tienen para que no me estén chingando por el amor de Dios. Oye, güey, perdón, ¿qué pasa con esto? ¿Me puedes orientar? No, aquí está la orientación, no trabajo para nadie, no doy consultas privadas. Si yo te escribo según esto, te van a robar tu dinero, no soy yo. No me interesa para absolutamente nada tu portafolio. No te lo puedo explicar lo suficiente. El de nadie, solo el mío. Entonces, estoy aquí compartiéndote lo que yo estoy haciendo para que te equivoques como yo. También tenemos acá los análisis de Alex. Alex ha llevado a todo el mundo literalmente en este short tremendo que nos hemos aventado y continúa. Aquí tienes lo último de su análisis. También tienes, por supuesto, los de Farhan que son más potentes. De repente nos tira porque usa todos los indicadores que le encantan. También tenemos nuestro chat de Criptolingo. Aquí esto es para poder contestar abreviaciones, cualquier pregunta de abreviaciones que usamos o pequeñas letras, lo tenemos en inglés, lo tenemos en español también. Pero ahora, lo que estás viendo y lo que quieres, mucha gente quiere aprender a tradear y me dicen, güey, ¿cómo vergas aprendo esto? Y van y compran nuestro servicio de señales, ¿no? Que te mandamos los trades y te decimos, esto es lo que estamos haciendo nosotros. Pero, en mi opinión, comprar eso sin entender lo que estás haciendo es un error gigantesco. Porque no es tan fácil como decirte, güey, compra en 20 y vende en 25. No funciona así. Tienes que aprender esto. Ahora, ¿por qué quieres aprender a tradear? En mi opinión, tal vez no quieras aprender a tradear, pero quieres aprender gráficos, porque esto te ayuda con la confluencia de las noticias. Cuando volteo a ver un gráfico del dólar y me estás diciendo que Xi Jinping va a tener la moneda del mundo, sé que vamos a rebotar y es lo que está pasando en este momento. Es lo que quiero que ustedes hagan. Cuando invertimos y nosotros tradeamos futuros y nos apalancamos 100, 200, 500 veces, ¿no? O sea, $1,000 te abre un trade de $500,000, lo hacemos y pasa tan rápido que tu margen de error es pequeño. Cuando ya entras en los mercados naturales, los normales, donde no estás apalancado y estás comprando acciones, muchos de ustedes me escriben sin tener una puta idea, y esto me espanta, de que quieren apalancarse para hacer las entradas en Coinbase y en esto. No, todo esto lo estamos haciendo en spot para dejarlo 10 años. Eso es lo que genera riqueza. ¿Quieres volverte rico de la noche a la mañana? Ve y compra Fartcoin y que Dios te bendiga, güey. Aquí estamos para ser ricos, para generar riqueza, no pendejadas. Entonces, estamos viéndolo a 10 años. Todo esto es spot. Cuando juegas en spot, te puedes equivocar si escoges la compañía que se va a ir a bancarrota o si escoges una empresa que ya no va a crecer. Pero con que tengas un poquito de cerebro, ¿no? Y no compres industrias que están por desaparecer, que están siendo disrumpidas de la noche a la mañana. Con que compres cualquier cosa que no esté así, en un buen precio, viéndolo bien en la tabla, con buena confluencia con tus noticias, güey, la vas a romper, tío. Literalmente, los que han estado aquí conmigo por un rato, ¿cuánto tiempo llevamos rompiéndola en el mercado? Años ya, años, años, años. Topes, fondos, todo, ciclos, lo que quieras. Y vamos a continuar. Pero esto lo que hace, lo que nos da ese poder es poder hacer trading y entender las bases, cabrón. Si no entiendes las bases, ahí es donde vas a estar jodido. Y si no entiendes las bases de lo que estamos hablando, lo mínimo, es lo único que digo, lo mínimo, porque te confunde cuando escuchas lo que estamos diciendo, es perfectamente normal. Eso quiere decir que literalmente nunca has platicado y no conoces el lingo que hablan los traders, ¿no? La gente en finanzas. Lo único que tienes que hacer es aprenderlo. Tenemos un cursito nosotros por acá, de cero a trader, literalmente, y se los juro por mi vida, $29 no me van a hacer millonario, divididos entre 3, ¿no? Porque somos 3 pendejos. Esto, literalmente, en 1 hora 40 minutos deberías de poder entender todo lo que decimos aquí. El punto de esto es, yo quería que alguien me diera un curso cuando yo empecé, sin saber nada de trading, sin saber cómo abrir un gráfico ni nada y qué programa usar, para yo poder entender cómo usar todo. Esto es eso. No te va a volver el trader más verga del mundo ni nada. Lo que te va a volver eso es repetición. Repetición, repetición. Con 1 hora 40 minutos deberías de poder entender todo lo que ves en estos en vivos que son gratis. Todo. Y si no, días como el de ayer, cada 2 jueves tenemos clases donde ustedes vienen y nos preguntan, güey, no entendí esto. No entiendo por qué los EMAs que estás escogiendo son estos. No entiendo por qué no tenemos que apostar a esto en vez de a esto. Todo eso lo resolvemos los jueves, clases de 4 horas solamente con ustedes para poder dejarlos impecables. Y de ahí se pueden ir a donde sea. A donde, güey, con que entiendas esto, literalmente puedes ir a donde quieras aprender de quien quieras. Y dices, este güey vale verga, pero mínimo sé que te estoy enseñando la base. De eso se trata ese pedo. Solamente para que lo sepas. Ahora, si ya eres un degenerado profesional y quieres irte a los futuros, a tradear, hacer un short, hacer un long en Bitcoin, Solana, acciones, etcétera, tienes acá Bitunix, cómo tradear en Bitunix. Es un video también, es gratis, como nuestro Discord, completamente gratis para todos ustedes. Y acá le puedes picar para ir a registrarte y tienes un video de 11 minutos. En este video, en 11 minutos, te enseño cómo navegar al exchange, cómo abrir tu cuenta, cómo mandar dinero a tu cuenta, cómo mandar dinero dentro de tu cuenta futuros, cómo encontrar Bitcoin, Solana, todas las cosas que tienes que buscar, cómo abrir un corto, cómo abrir un long, cómo poner un stop loss, un take profit, cómo sacar tu lana, todo está aquí en un video de 11 minutos completamente gratis. Ahora, si estás empezando a tradear, te lo ruego, por tu bien, usa estos exchanges en modo simulador. Simulador no te cobra nada, te da 1,000,000 o 100,000 de dólares teoréticos y tú apuestas. Y eso tienes que ver cómo te va y empezar a construir tus sistemas. Te lo recomiendo de corazón, si no vas a perder un chingo de lana al principio. No hay de otra, güey. Y ahora hay gente que lo hará y hay gente que no, y la gran mayoría no, pero se lo recomiendo de corazón, por favor. Para nosotros este no es un negocio que nos cambia la vida o nos hace lana. Estamos aquí literalmente yo para no volverme loco, lo necesito. Y me gusta que aprendan. Quiero que aprendan lo mismo que yo y tengan las oportunidades que yo. Es todo. Sin más ni más, les tengo aquí al buen Alex y a Farhan. Vamos a darle al casino del tío Salo, damas y caballeros. Déjenme pongo mi logo de Bitcoin, donde lo tengo acá. Y good morning, boys. How are you?
Buenos días, muchachos. Feliz viernes.
Feliz viernes indeed. Happy Friday, dudes. How are you? Alex, you've been fucking taking everyone to Valhalla with you. Well done.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm very surprised we got that 15% bounce in one day, but hey, it was the setup nevertheless.
Yeah.
Really not too bad, honestly.
Comes in those waves, right? Like they want to fucking drag you. And then when it's done, it's meant to bounce like this. This is why everyone loses their ass on the way down.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit us with it. Wow, 68 grand. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I mean, in this region here, after yesterday, we were really watching the 2021 cycle high. If you were here, I mean, yesterday again, that was a point where once you lost it, even on an hourly, rallied up, didn't fully hit it, and then you bigly rejected from that point. Yesterday was an easy money day. You essentially from that point went down almost 12%. Now, we were gauging this 2021 cycle high as a bounce zone, but notice how it didn't give you that. No bounces. You got a mercy bounce, but really nothing that we wanted. And then, you know, before we actually bigly dumped, we quickly flip-flopped. In this environment, it's very important to, you know, hold your ideas, but if the data changes, to quickly change, because, well, there's no reason to long and then take a massive stop loss. We actually ended up shorting around this zone. But the daily close was something that was at least saying, well, Alex, you know, if you didn't fully, you know, capitalize as much as you wanted, tomorrow's a new day. And we know what Bitcoin likes to do. We know a massive zone like the 2021 cycle high. We also know that really on the dailies, we can aggressively move down past it. But more often than not, you do end up retesting these zones on Bitcoin. Now, this could look like maybe a 6-hour EMA 9 getting retested, something you have been testing this entire move down and rejecting. And so that's exactly what I'm looking at now. I'm actually watching this region very carefully for a major rejection now. I think what we've had so far was impressive. But again, when we're looking at something like this, we have to really be, wondering, well, is this just playing into our idea that this was a massive mean reversion bounce? Are we actually about to reject this zone? Now, for me, as long as you're staying under the 2021 market cycle high, you absolutely aren't supposed to be talking about higher. Now, if you get a deviation play, meaning you reclaim, move up, awesome, can easily move up to $72,000. But until then, you need to be absolutely cautious here. You have that 6-hour 9, EMA 9, it's been rejecting, but it's a little different now that you're in a 2021 cycle high zone. Plus, you can't really say, well, we've just been going down only. Bitcoin actually had a pretty impressive bounce so far, about 14% in one day. This is important because, well, you're moving up greatly, you're moving down greatly, volatility's hot, and that means that these ranges are getting bigger. And that's something you'd want to see in the midst of, well, opening up a new range. You're looking here at 69,200 as resistance. That possibly will lead you down to that 49,500. Pretty disastrous, because last stream, we were talking about the fact that Bitcoin really is just in a nothing but air kind of zone here. Very bad posturing. And you do have to be cautious of that, when we've been opening these big ranges, you have just been honestly moving down. And so today, right, you've gotten to move up. I want a little higher, in my opinion. I'm a little like, are we going to reject the zone now or not? But I have to really be telling myself that when we were in the 60,000s talking about a move all the way to 69K, well, we're now at 67.8. I have a feeling that anyone who's just been trying to short here has just been fueling this move, when the objective has just been wait for the BR at the 2021 market cycle high. So for me, we still have not yet, we haven't hit that yet. We made a high here at 68.6. I really need to start seeing 69,200 be hit, and then we can start possibly rolling over. I would be expecting a massive sell-off from that point. You really don't want to see any kind of reclaims of the 2021 cycle high. You really just want it to be like this. You come up, you take out all those shorts, you rally up, maybe you do a little move up here, and then you bigly reject. This is just the stair steps, elevator down kind of move we usually get in bear markets. Because what you're noticing is a lot of people are feeling horny and happy at they buying the bottom here. I promise you, not many people are going to be that inclined to be buying the bottom. So I'm not convinced this is a bottom quite yet. Quickly we can know, though, if you do get back above 69,200. But now what we have is an hourly buy trigger. You have a target down up to 69.2. You also have this hourly EMA 100 looming. But again, I'm putting more weight today on the meme lines based on the 2021 cycle high. I need to start seeing this on an hourly if we're going to actually talk about 72, 71s. Until then, I am just gauging a massive short with ETA here. And I am actually looking myself to maybe scale into this trade fairly soon, actually. Notice here that, again, you could have front ran the short, but what you're getting is anytime you're moving down, it's just getting bought up. This being an hourly buy trigger still makes it more likely you are going to reach this zone. So just be fully aware of that. If you're shorting now, ETA has the trigger on our website. And so I'll just be playing that. Now, the target still is the SMA 200. You have to really wonder, if you get this far to the or this close to the SMA 200, why wouldn't you just end up tapping it and rejecting? This is going to be a really big point. For bulls, you simply need to see this hold. Now, I was watching Sailor's, I think, their strategies conference yesterday. They were talking about they're not concerned as long as they're above the weekly SMA 200, just for like a simple example. Well, you're almost there. And so them watching that zone makes me just a little cautious of myself watching it. But nevertheless, we know if you start losing this weekly SMA 200, this was the last kind of environment where you started to just capitulate down to the 15s. Now, obviously from here, you're not going to dump to 15s, but you can make a legitimate concern. You'll actually start coming down to the 49s, 44s, and even that $39 region. But what you're supposed to gather from this is, have we hit the weekly SMA 200? No, we did not yet. So that is just still looming, in my opinion, until we actually hit that. Need to be a little cautious here, because what you could have is, well, we're bottomed, we're happy, we're horny, and you actually don't hit that. You end up filling this wick and then bottoming. Such a Bitcoin thing to do, right? It takes out both sides and then ends up breaking out. I see no indication of a breakout on Bitcoin, though. I hope everyone's aware. We are just now making a mean reversion bounce. We are, playing a little between that bi-weekly EMA 100, sitting at 68,279. So we need to be watching this zone very carefully. Notice you're still under this bi-weekly EMA 100. It is lined up pretty nicely with the 2021 market cycle high. Really, right here, this perspective really reminds me about when we looked at the quarterly, testing that 9 right here. Notice we just kind of dumped down to the 21. That was our next target, by the way. So that is good to see that hit. But again, we just can play what we know. And so today, if you end up seeing Bitcoin reclaim back above 69,200, that'll be your first major sign that, okay, yeah, maybe we are locally bottomed. Maybe we are going to go up a little higher. Maybe we are going to potentially test that bi-weekly EMA 100, or that weekly, my apologies, EMA 100. But until then, you are now just testing the big zone. Tether dominance here is at support. If you go, excuse me, to the lower time frames, you are now at support, and we know very easily the 12-hour EMA 5 has just been the bounce zone. Every single time it's been the bounce zone. Here we are at the 12-hour EMA 5. In my opinion, if Bitcoin reaches 69.2 to 70K, you most likely will just reach the 12-hour EMA 9, where, right, that'll be the next big bounce zone in confluence with the meme line. This isn't a breakout. This is just retesting. If you're on the camp that the bull market started again, this is still a bullish setup. You're just retesting. This is playing into bullish price structure forming. Because remember, things won't just go down only. Never. And this is a great example for everyone. If you were massively having FOMO, which again, no one really should have had FOMO. We were pretty much calling accurate moves all day yesterday. But let's say you weren't an ETA. Well, here you're not shorting. You understand here things won't go down only. And you also understand, and this is the very nice part about where we're at in the market, when you're by a previous cycle high, if we now go to the more higher time frame like this, go to a monthly, if you're by a previous cycle high, this is money. This is this is what we call the money shot. No, it's a bad joke. But this is essentially what you want to be watching very carefully if you're trading lower time frames, because you're not going to get any kind of major bull market move under this. And actually, this is the last stand for bulls. You end up falling below this, there will be nothing but air until the 40s. So yes, I understand we've made an epic rally, but again, this is no surprise at all to what we were wanting yesterday. So now that we're approaching the zone yesterday, we need to just be very cautious of this and rejecting. So that is what I'm watching. I'm literally have my trigger finger on wanting to trade this. But I also know when you're making hourly moves in the terms of like 1%, 1%, right? You need to be a little cautious on positioning. You don't want to be the guy shorting, it takes you out, you hit your level, and then you dump, and you're just like, damn, why didn't I just wait for this? So if you're not positioned yet, just simply wait for either a deviation play, bearish retest, or weakness off of the 6-hour EMA 9. So very close. Will we actually get it on stream? I'm very interested too to see what Farn has to say on these levels, because his analysis will be pretty juicy about this. Because honestly, I really do think this will end up rejecting hard. We get major mean reversion bounces already, and we can't act like we haven't gotten this before in this previous downside market. Look at these bounces. I mean, this is 5%. I know we've had some 10% here. Let's go back here. This is all right. Now that's 4%. Come on. All right, this is the 6-hour. Let's be a little more professional here and go to a daily. All right, that was a 17% bounce. Remember, we're so back. We're so happy. And remember, this led to nothing. It just ended up moving right back down to 85.5. And then here again, a little higher. Awesome, 15%. I guess it wasn't a little higher, but in the same range, 15%. So that's why you're not really looking at this daily and being like, man, we're bottom because we're at 14%. No. This is just honestly, in my opinion, looking like we have just officially done the bearish retest. And I was expecting this to take maybe until Monday. Like slowly, we just go up slowly. But I mean, doing it in one candle, in my opinion, is more weak for bears or more weak for bulls. Because this was it. This was the money shot. So they've hit it. They've hit the target almost. Got to hold this momentum now for 8 hours, 47 minutes, close dailies above, and maybe you'll get a move up to 72s. But I think we all should just watch the reaction here, honestly, because if what I think, Shred, I think it'll be a tap and go. Now we keep going. Now, 3 days interesting, right? Had that 3-day. You're just simply, again, watching to see if we get the reclaim. All the higher time frames, that's exactly what you're watching, 5-day, even the 2-day, right? And this is why then the daily and 12-hour, 8-hour, 6-hour will be your friend. If you're getting 12-hour EMA 5 rejections, well, that is literally lined up right here at the 2021 cycle high. Now, imagine here you just had let me short the 12-hour EMA 5. Let me short the 12-hour EMA 5. Right? So let me short the 2021 cycle high with the 12-hour EMA 5. You get my point? It's a lot more stronger here of resistance. If you do end up rejecting the zone, though, $49,000 is my next target. We have to be really looking at that to actually hit fairly fast. I mean, remember, if we go to CME here, you are just in a BBWP breakout on the monthly for the first time ever in Bitcoin's history. This is very important because, well, this is telling you that you're going to see something in terms of volatility you've never seen before, ever. I don't think it's a coincidence. This is firing off in the midst of maybe that daily rejecting us, getting us back into a range where the next objective will be 49,000. And we're talking about a pretty insane move from here, about 28%. The issue is when you start moving down, the psychology is you can't go much lower. We have to get a bounce. Understand that this could just be the bounce. I keep mentioning that just to kind of get everyone sober-minded here. We had about 10 red candles on the 4-hour. Okay, that's, reset. That's all I look at. It's reset. It's nice. And even on the 12-hour, it's reset. Finally broke the red streak, just like here, right? Just like here, just like here. It's good to see these break the red streak, but not actually do anything in terms for bulls. So actually not too bad. I really hope Bitcoin doesn't front run 69K. That's all I'm praying for. Just don't front run 69K, please. So that's all we're watching today. That's the trade. 69.2. Under it, you're shorting. Reclaims doesn't mean you're longing. You're just waiting to see if you're going to 2 to 3 candle closures above 69K. There you can target 72s. Until then, this is a bearish setup. You are in lower low. You are producing a lower high, and you are hitting levels that you each time you've hit rejected, like the 12-hour 5 and 6-hour EMA 9. So watch this zone very carefully. Why I'm a little cautious of this maybe front running 69K is just simply because we have hit that 12-hour 5. But again, it's just like what I said, come this far, we need to just kind of see it through. Now we'll go to tether dominance here. And again, we're just kind of watching this zone. Even at the bare minimum, this is a deviation. Most likely provides a bounce, and then that'll either reject, lower high, and then roll over. But with what we know on this 12-hour 5 and trend, this is a higher low brewing. Higher high, higher low. You're back within this range here that you have not had any price action in a long time. Let's see what I mean by that. Look at it. You get nice moves down if you lose 7.82%. Nice moves down. Let's see here. So, right, you are just in this range. That's the point I'm trying to bring home here. And you're actually close to support. You're either using the 12-hour 5, which we've hit, or the 12-hour 9. Yeah, very interesting stuff on Bitcoin. Look at that daily 5 too. All right, this was a reclaim. I know you're deviating, but you could easily get a spring off here. And then before the day's up, you get a buyback. And this will just play into the idea that perhaps 69K does harshly reject. Hourly still in the sell, just like Bitcoin still in the buy. It's a hopium for our filling our shorts here. Because imagine you fill 100x shorts right now. Well, the issue is if you make the move that we want, you'll get liquidated. And that's the issue with this market right now. You don't position well. You have too much leverage. Literally a 15-minute candle will liquidate you. That's why positioning and timing has to be really key here. Now, HBDR, we are in extremes here. If it wants to load anytime. Right, so we are at the extremes. Now, yes, I know we've kind of messed up the HBDR ranges on this dramatic dump, but hey, the lower time frame is still providing us some indication that you are at an extreme zone here. You also notice you've hit that 30-minute EMA 100. Again, just giving you the ideas that in this region still is kind of resistance, while also hitting that 30-minute 97.5%. Yeah, I'm really sick of Mexico being cold. Like, it's terrible, just so everyone's aware. It's been like 65, 70s all day. Even in Tulum, it's like bullshit. Honestly, I'm so over it. So hopefully the weather gets better in March. If you know, you know. So, I mean, that's basically it on Bitcoin. It's a very easy analysis because it's just dependent on one level, 69,200. Now, remember, let's go to the previous market, go to the daily, previous bear market. And remember, you can make harsh rejections off of 69K. So let's just not get blindsided about that. You really can just move up, hit it, and then just start dumping. Okay. 1 second, boys. I gotta open my door. Just 1 second. All right, we're back. We're back in black. Come on, Bitcoin. Why don't you just film me? Film me on camera. I sound a little gay. But see, very close to it. Let's go to tether dominance again. Let's just see if I missed anything else. Again, very easy analysis today for me. I really don't think we need to squeeze the lemon too much here. We're just waiting for either 69,200 for the culture to reject or reclaim, and confluence with daily tether dominance getting the throwback. Let's see here, nothing else. Let's go to Bitcoin D, because actually Bitcoin D is still putting in a massive setup here that we've been talking about for weeks. Look at this. You have your lower low break on Bitcoin D, so trend is down. You also have lowest volatility read ever recorded in all Bitcoin D's history. And you have hit our target, basically, that weekly EMA 100 we've been talking about for a long time since, well, here, October. So a bounce expected, but still not very confident here, right? This is in lower low posturing. You can visually see it like this. You're in a breakdown. So into next week, you should be watching for maybe a rally back to the weekly EMA 9 before rolling over. Let's see here. But yeah, that's, I mean, this is the next big setup is Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. Pretty epic stuff here. Okay, we're getting that little up again. Can we hit our 69K for the simulation and culture, please? All you're doing on Bitcoin dominance, let's go to the 55 here. on. There we go. It is right here on the verge, daily silver cross. So then that gives you confluence that, well, maybe into next week, you do just get that retest. You do have that daily EMA 9 sitting at 59.37%. And that does pretty much line up nicely with, well, our weekly 9 at 59.47%. Also, I think blessed Grant Cardone, he's the blessed man. He is selling his jet to buy more Bitcoin. So that's nice. He taketh, he giveth, blessed be the name. No, that's crazy. Yeah, so really, in my opinion, today's an easy level, one line, simply watching that. We've now made a pretty epic rally, 15% up. Personally, I didn't long that. I'm not going to long that idea, but I'm into shorts. Mind you, if you got a 15% mean reversion rally in a bear market, you have to be pretty bricked up to be shorting then. Because remember, the trade is still firing down. And with monthly volatility, one says, no, Bitcoin's gone down too much. We were bottom. We can't go down much more. You will just point them to monthly volatility and you'll say, well, this is also a concern because this is saying the actual move down is just beginning, technically speaking. And we talked about this exact scenario, which was if this monthly volatility starts firing off anywhere here, which I don't believe in March, in February, it confirmed expansion. My computer is so freaking slow. It's been my issue, making me mad. It's a typical a new Apple product comes out, my shit gets slow as hell. It's annoying. Yeah, so we confirm volatility expansion. So that is really unfortunate, actually, because if this ends up literally closing into March, where we're at, literally right. It'll basically mean you're going to put in like a 30 to 40, 50. Again, we have no indication what this month was. Mind you, any kind of like relation, like we try to relate it to 2023, this gave you like a 200. Wasn't even a volatility setup. So again, if you end up like closing March, opening March like this with volatility expanding, well, you do have to be cautious of this just like nuking 30, 40%. Now, a move 40% would actually take us to 40,400. Let's measure, right, cycle top to that. Let's measure the top 80% down. It's usually what we get in bear market, 80% down. Fucking my laptop's so annoying. All right, it's like, why is my computer low, laggy? It's 80 or 85% in bear markets. It's 80, right? It's always 80%. If you're there, because my computer is not cooperating. There we go. Let's measure this one out. I'll answer my own question. It's okay. Is that 80% basically? Let's go to the other one. Oh, this is CME. And hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't know why my computer's like acting like it's on McDonald's Wi-Fi. I don't understand. I shouldn't even disrespect McDonald's. They have better Wi-Fi than a lot of places in Mexico, actually. Okay, here we go. So like 80 to 85%. What's called a range. It's okay, fine. I see your text. The point is, right? You've gone down. So let's measure this. Gone down about 52%. So I mean that still means you have like 30% left. If this will be like past bear markets, which understand actually technically this is looking like it's going to be the worst bear market just based on monthly volatility here. Gosh. There we go. Finally it loads. Finally. So, you know, if you ended up longing here, GG, that was a good spot. But now you should not be longing more, in my opinion. You should absolutely be de-risking. Market will absolutely let you in the back. Market will absolutely let you position. And even off this, look at, if you don't reclaim 69.2, again, you could easily make the bullish argument, the lows in, we're going to 65K retest, then move up, right? So then that means if you're longing and you're, you know, up nicely, again, maybe you can take some home, de-risk, and understand this is a bear market, and bear markets give you mean reversion rallies. So that's all I'll leave it on. 69.2 is my big spot. Tether dominance is at the 12-hour 5. That is the last big bounce zone that we've been really bouncing. And so now next target here would be 8.56%. A little concerned with how Bitcoin's looking to me right now. Looks kind of weak. But nevertheless, still waiting for that 69.2 to actually become hit. I do think that'll be a massive zone for our shorts. And it should just be a tap and go kind of reaction. So very curious to see what Foreign has to say here. Because for me, it's just really based on hourly, 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, dictating how the daily is going to go, maybe getting those higher time frames. But until we actually reach my level, I'm just waiting and watching and, well, hoping the crypto gods that they fill my short. So then that way we all can make more shekels. Nothing's nicer than making a 15% move up and then the same day making like a 16% move down. You have to understand that is like how the bear market works. You'll make these 15, 16% moves up thinking you bottomed, caught this, and you're so back. And then in 1, 2, not even in 2 days, it'll be like 4 hours. You'll just go right back to the bottom. I mean, Alejandro Fine understands that can just be epically disastrous. So when I say that, really pay yourself if you've got a 15% move in a bear market. That's pretty impressive, honestly. I would not be longing anymore here, though. Like visually, you can just see, right? Like this looks kind of concerning. What will happen if this just goes doop, doop, and then that? It'll be a hindsight trade. It'll be like, fuck, why did I long here? I should have been shorting here. So that's kind of the idea I'm going into for, well, the end of February. I don't see why we're not going to hit 49K in February.
Alrighty, let me switch my screen.
Our face, beautiful face. Nice shirt, Farn.
Thank you. I apologize you have to see that face. It must be very difficult for you, but you can contact our support line for refunds. It's called www.gofuckyourself.com. There you go. All right, so let's start with the daily. Go to my good old friend Bluffin. And let's start with the daily here. So we are getting that bounce from that move to that 100% range on the HVDR, and we are seeing a pretty strong bounce from that 100% range right now. And if you just play probabilities, you do have a 0% chance of continuation from the zone. And as of now, you've failed to get that closure below there because probabilities are against that. And probabilities would also be against closing below this 97.5% range. You'd have a 2.5% chance of continuation from this area here. But what's going to stop in between there is going to be a very significant level of resistance. Is going to be this daily 5 EMA. Very likely, this is going to be very difficult to get beyond this region. It was right at $70,000. So there's going to be so if you were to look at our 2021 cycle high, about $69,000 to the $70,000 area, it's going to be a very difficult area to clear on the first type around. The only thing that makes that even gives that a case is that it's very significant or very deep into the 97.5% range. So you just have probabilities on your side. But if you were to switch over into the index and see where it would be, yeah. So even on the index, you're not as extreme, but you're still in the extremes. Where now you're back over the 95%. We want to see is momentum or price close over the 95%, which is at about 66.8, 66.9. And then you can see a back test of that 66.8 number, and then you can see expansion into or a retest or an attempt into somewhere around 70 to 72,000. this would be the more bullish scenario, where if you can get this closed, you see expansion into somewhere around that 72,000 area, and then ideally at that point the ranges will step down, and then you can continue to the downside. But spoiler alert, I don't think the downside action is done just yet. Let's go back to Bluffin. And we are getting momentum very heavily to the downside now. I believe it's very close to flipping back up. Yeah, it's just under that moving average currently, with volatility now very close to going into contraction. Let's go to 4 hour. 4 hours on making its way back up to the 38.2%, with momentum starting to flip back up. Volatility is going into contraction, and we were starting to get that God mode buy signal now on the jewel, where we had this God mode signal here. This gave us our previous lower high, and this was a move from about 74,000 all the way up to like 79-ish thousand dollars, so about a $5,000 move up. So how much have we gotten so far from this buy signal? This was from about 64,000 on a closing basis to currently about 68. So about a $4,000 move so far. $1,000 more will be right around that $69,000 2021 cycle high. And zoom in on this momentum. And then at that point, we are likely going to take out this high on momentum, which will then give you hidden bearish divergence. And 38.2% is currently at about, right around $69,000. Beautiful. 69,666. The devil's number. Beautiful number right there. 69,666. 2 hours now already forming that hidden bearish divergence, with momentum getting very extreme to the upside and volatility getting quite extreme to the upside. We do have a bullish cross on the jewel here, with the pink crossing above the yellow, but it goes along with price hitting very extreme areas on the HPDR. So maybe you can see some continuation from here. You just want to see a close over this 21 EMA right around $68,000, and then you should see continuation into somewhere around $69,000. $69,000 to $70,000 would be the range. And at that point, you're going to be hitting very extremes to the upside on the momentum, and more likely you're going to get pullback from that zone. 12 hours also very close to flipping back up with the God mode background, starting to lose the sell signal, very close to giving you a God mode buy signal, and you're at very extremes on the HPDR. It's likely you're going to test at least somewhere around 69,000 from here. Should I go to the index? I'll go to the index. 2 days now getting that bounce from that 97.5%, with momentum very close to flipping back up. You're close to getting a sell signal, however, with the pink about to cross below the yellow. And this bounce from this 97.5%, as long as you're closing back over the 95%, which is around 64,000, you're likely going to see a little continuation towards somewhere around 69 to 72K. Five-day also positioned to the downside. You are forming, I believe, some regular. Did you make a lower low? Actually, no, you made a lower low. So there is no bullish divergence here, with volatility now expanding, and you are continuing on the sell signal on the jewel. We want to see right now, if you're bearish, is a close below this 200 SMA, then get a back test into that 200 SMA, which is around 72,000, and then likely you get some your next leg down, and that'll take you somewhere around $58,000, I'm guessing. And we'll see that $58,000 number come up again. Weekly is also positioned to the downside. Let's zoom in. Weekly is although making a higher low momentum, so weekly does have possibility of bullish divergence. But on the opposite hand, you are getting the jewel curving back around, rejecting getting out of the bullish control zone, and it's very likely going to give you a sell signal next. Plus, to confirm this bullish divergence, you need to make a local bottom here, which requires a close over $97,913, where if you can close back over there, then you'll have weekly bullish divergence, and then that'll take you back up to all-time highs. Quite unlikely that will happen, however. You need to see price move up and close about 43% over where price action is right now. Not quite likely that that's going to happen in the next 2 days and 9 hours. Have we ever seen a 43% rally in 2 days? Probably not, I don't think. And weekly currently has hidden bearish divergence as well, which has a current target of this 200 SMA, which sits at $58,000. Wow, came up very soon, very quick. And we're playing out this silver cross at the downside now. 2-week is also positioned to the downside with volatility expanding. 2-week Jewel still playing out that sell signal, and we are now right around this 100 EMA on the 2-week. We got 9 days left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. And if we close below this 100, this is likely going to lead to some more dumping action to somewhere around $63,000 to $51,000, which is 58 sits right in between there. Monthly also positioned to the downside with bearish divergence, and with volatility is expanding, and you're getting the pink crossing below the yellow, completely skipping the neutral phase. This has only ever happened in the 2018 bear market, and this is the second time we're getting the pink crossing below the yellow, although it's happening higher up than it happened during the Luna collapse, which was theoretically is more powerful of a signal than it was back then. We are getting a bounce from the monthly 55. Got about 22 days left to go, which is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. That also makes sense to bounce off of the 78.6% on this first tap around. Next zone from here is going to be this 88.3%, which is, what do you know, $58,000. Let's see. All right. Quarterly also positioned to the downside with bearish divergence and volatility is expanding. Plus, you're losing the buy signal, flipping into a neutral on the quarterly, and every single time the quarterly has flipped into a neutral, it has been a bear market. You're getting a little bit of a bounce from the quarterly 21, kind of front running it a little bit, and it sits right around that $58,000 area. It's at $59,500. And the 78.6%, which would be your target from a loss of the 38.2%, is right around $43,000. Very nice, because that's going to come. That area is going to come up again. Let's switch to the RSI. It's quite a nice busting action candle on Tether. Went all the way up to 9%. 9-ish% was one of the bullish divergence targets. And zoom in. But yeah, making higher highs, so there's no bearish divergence. 8 hours about to close. Oh, we're about to put in a fresh drive of bearish divergence. This will confirm with any close below 8.138%. And that'll give us a target down towards the neutral zone, which currently sits at 7.22%. But this will update in 20 minutes. So we'll have to see whatever it goes to then. So that does lead to a little bit higher on Bitcoin, probably somewhere around that 70,000 to maybe 72,000 area. Let's see just how much it is lower. I'm curious. 6.2, 7.22. I mean, yeah, that'd be right around, I believe, 72,000. I think. Local top on the 4-hour, but there's no bearish divergence. That take you towards the edge of the bullish control zone, which currently sits at about 7.78%. Nothing. Nothing. Nope. The edge of the bullish control zone, which is likely going to be your support here, is also at that 7.2-ish% number. And you still have active hidden bullish divergence. You've hit the target though, which is the critical zone. 5 days still got active hidden bullish divergence. You have yet to hit the target, which is the critical zone. And that sits at about 9.8%. Monthly already also hit the critical zone, which was the target for making the local bottom. That was at about 8.67%. Came very close to the simple moving average as well on the quarterly. That's at about 9.3%. Damn, that's one hell of a chart here on Tether. This high is from the 2022 bear market. So what's going to happen, because we're making a higher low, what usually follows a higher low is a higher high. So a higher high from 9%, what's Tether going to do at that point? It's going to be making like the highest percentage in terms of the crypto market cap it's ever had. Let's just to get a rough target, just a rough number. Next zone is somewhere around 13%. I don't know what that implies for Bitcoin. I don't know exactly how the correlation works. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Lower low, so there's no possibility of bullish divergence. Lower low here as well. 8 hours now putting in a fresh drive of bullish divergence. This will confirm with any close over, let's see, can't see that number. $67,434, and that'll give you a target easy target towards the edge of the bearish control zone and then the neutral zone. The bearish control zone sits at about $70,000. The neutral zone is at about 76, so it gives you a range between 70 and 76. Four hours also making a local bottom, gives you a target towards somewhere around 71. Nothing. If you were to bounce here, because you did hit the critical zone, that would take you towards the edge of the bearish control zone, and that also lines up with about 76. Edge of the bearish control zone on the 5-day currently sits at about 70, 74, and the simple moving average is at 72. 6 days still has active bearish divergence. Let me zoom in. Oops. Oh, now you're forming possible hidden bearish divergence. And this will confirm with any close below 62,257. That gives you a target down to 45K on confirmation. Taking a local top here, target's about 48K. This level is going to update several times. Quarterly has that active bearish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing below $114,000. You are now starting to hit you have now hit the target from that bearish divergence, which was a range between somewhere around $70,700 towards $66,000. You went down to $60,000. You also tapped this 21 EMA, giving you all of your easy targets from this quarterly bearish divergence. Now they have been met. Somewhere slightly below this 21 EMA is where we bottomed at on the COVID rally. I mean, not the COVID rally, on the FTX crash. And the COVID crash, I believe, was also to this 21. Yeah, COVID was exactly to this 21 EMA. So this is a very, very important area at this quarterly 21 EMA. It makes sense that you're getting a strong bounce off of it. And 6 months is still forming 3 drives of bearish divergence, and this will confirm with any close below, let's see here, $80,600, and then that gives you a move down to this 21, which also is very close to lining up with this meme line here, right around $46,000. This is going to rise with every single close, and then it's going to line up exactly with this closing candle from 2021. In about July of 2021, we closed at about $46,000. Very important area. Plus, that $46,000 area is also coincidentally right around the area where the ETFs launched at. So also an area where there's going to be a lot of buying pressure, likely going to give you a strong bounce. Whether it's going to be a reversal or not, we have yet to see, but likely it's going to be a strong bounce in that $40,000 zone. Alrighty, now we will go into momentum. Daily momentum is now flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $63,150. Lower lows, so there's no possibility of bullish divergence. Plus, you're still well within the critical zone to the downside, making somewhere around $70,000 to $71,000 very, very significant resistance. 8 hours about to close. Let's take a look at that. 8 hours also flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $62,200. Also making lower lows, so there's no possibility of bullish divergence. You're projected on this next open to break out of the critical zone, but you're still going to be in the bearish control zone. 4 hours also flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $60,600 and you're breaking out of the critical zone. 2 hours also flipped up with volatility contracting, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $64,800. 2 days also very close to very close to flipping back up, and it will flip back up if you can close over $69,300. Let's zoom in. Also making a lower low, but it's making a higher low from this low here, so that's interesting. There's some slight bullish divergence between these two lows. That will require momentum flipping back up to confirm, and they'll give you a target towards somewhere around $72,000 if you can confirm that. And the next level will be somewhere around 76 to 78, 76 to 78. Five days currently freshly flipped down, rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone with volatility expanding, giving us a 5-day volatility setup. And this is going to remain flipped down as long as we're closing below $78,200. And from this volatility setup, we are now down. Let's see. This gave us volatility expansion. We have now dropped about 30%, which is right around the average move, 25 to 30%. Weekly is also freshly flipped down with volatility very close to expanding, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below $70,400. 2-week is also flipped down and with volatility expanding, giving you also a 2-week volatility setup, and this is going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below $72,650. Monthly is also flipped down with volatility expanding, very close to giving you a volatility setup on the monthly, with momentum flipped down as long as you're closing below $115,500. And monthly is now losing the critical zone, losing the bullish control zone, very close to making it into the bearish control zone. I think it actually is now within the bearish control zone, right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So if this was going to be bullish here, this pivot would have gone down significantly, but the fact that it's still way above price action on the monthly makes it bearish as fuck. Plus, now the monthly DMI is now flipping into the red. The last time monthly DMI flipped red was bear market. Flip red in about June of 2022, right before Luna. The only other times that it's been red, back in August of 2015. It's quite bearish to see DMI here flip red. This shows you that there's net sellers versus people buying. There's nobody buying here. Everyone's selling. And this is also the first. This is the first time in this entire bull market that we've lost this critical zone. We've been holding right around this critical zone this entire time, putting in hidden bullish divergences, sending it up to new all-time highs. Now there's no longer possibility of hidden bullish divergence because we flipped the monthly into a downtrend. And quarterly is also freshly flipped to the downside, rejecting the critical zone, losing the critical zone, and this is going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below $108,000. So all of the high time frames I flipped very heavily into the bearish control. You have 6 month populating the 3 drives of bearish divergence, and if that does confirm, that is with any close below $80,600, that would target somewhere around 42 to let's say $43 to $46,000 off of that move, which is right around that 6 month 21 EMA, which is the area you did bottom at on the FTX collapse as well as the COVID collapse. All of them went down to that same area. And so it's very likely you're going to get a very significant bounce from that zone. Whether it's a reversal or not, we'll have to see. But likely you will get a strong bounce. And right now on the low time frames, you're putting in bullish divergences and getting momentum flipping back up. So likely takes this bounce a little higher towards somewhere around maybe 70,000, 72,000. Assuming those bullish divergences do confirm on this 8-hour close in a couple of minutes here, in about like 8 minutes. And somewhere around that 72,000 area is very high probability you're going to get a rejection. If you do hit the higher end target of the bullish divergence, that would take you up to somewhere around 76. I do think it's less likely, but even in that zone, still probably you're going to get that rejection, and then likely you're going to eventually meet that weekly 200 SMA, which is currently sitting around $58,000. From there, I think you're going to get a larger bounce from that 200 SMA around that 58 or high $50,000 zone, and then likely confirms your 6 month bearish divergence, and then over time, then you can hit that $48,000 area. But I don't think it's going to be a straight line. Likely that 50-50 area gives you a strong bounce into somewhere around 80-ish, maybe $70,000, $80,000, somewhere around that zone, and then likely over the next couple of months, then eventually next year, maybe hit that $40,000 zone. I think somewhere around Q3 or Q4 of this year, maybe you get another rally, maybe a lower high into that $80,000 area, and then the end of this year or maybe next year is where you get that move down to the final wave into somewhere around 40s, possibly high 30s. We have to see. And right now, the invalidation will simply be getting a weekly close back over 90. What is it? $97,913. Yeah, about $98,000. That's easier to say. So you can get that. You'll confirm weekly bullish divergence and then new all-time highs. Wonderful, but unlikely.
All right. So just one thing of what you were saying, because you were like, I don't understand, or I don't see why, or what's going to happen to Bitcoin when tether dominance goes up, right? That was the question. So the answer is, I don't know how much Bitcoin will fall, right? Like, it's impossible to predict that. So I'm not going to fucking be brave and do that. There's plenty of clips of me saying that stupid things, so we don't need more. But I mean, obviously, we're going to mint $1 quadrillion worth of tether. Just think about digitizing all the debt that's coming up with the Genius Act, the short-term debt, instantly for companies to be able to make their own money, which happens January 18th, 2027, like less than a year from now. So tether dominance will go up once. Imagine you mint $1 trillion, like legitimately $1 trillion worth of tether. Wouldn't the dominance completely go through the moon?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But would that now my question would be, would that affect the price of Bitcoin?
I don't think so. Would it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't think so. So you might see a tremendously high tether dominance, but perhaps it's just like moving into the new standard of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm not putting too much on that, because it does look like it's going to absolutely explode, but I don't think Bitcoin will explode to the downside like that. Although when I see Dave Portnoy buy and buy, I know that we're far from the bottom.
I do see the part where he gets the headlines, but why doesn't he save these $1 million buys for very big red days?
Because he's absolutely retarded in that sense. He doesn't care. He just gets more attention, whatever. He makes enough money. This is what no one understands. You can trade 2 losses and just wait and be a terrible trader and just hold for a long time. If you're just making more money, who cares? Right? Like, I'm going to finish allocating my portfolio, no matter how much money it is, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. And then after that, I have more money to put in. So it's kind of hard to lose when you have more money.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. Alrighty, I'll do this. Thank you, sir. Vamos en putiza acá el chat de Elite Trading Academy. ¿Cómo están? Buenos días. Veo un chingo de preguntas. Rápidamente, Elías, buenos días. Canito, ahorita vemos Apple. También ahorita vemos Elías BMNR. Claro que sí. Buenos días. Buenos días. Tú eres el puto amo. Julio. Alejandro, por favor, dale las gracias a Alex y a Farn por ese long que me mandaron ayer, el cual me sacó de una pinche coraje que tenía en la clase. No puse atención porque el mercado estaba todo rojo. Son los mejores días, mi Ramón. Hood, Palantir, Coin Oracle, estaban todos en corto y estaba todo en corto en todas. Las preguntas en la clase ya las tenías listas, así que últimamente las envié en la noche para repasar el video. Había ganado 4,000 en cortos en acciones. Después de intentar el long, me chingó. Después un corto en Bitcoin, me chingó. Y seguí un tercero intentar un long y me chingó lo que había ganado fácilmente en la mañana con las acciones. Pero con el trade de Alex, vientos, con un 100X. Por supuesto, Ramón. En ETA somos unos degenerados. Bien hecho. Todos, por cierto, en todos lados están que vamos a rebotar muy fuerte. Es la narrativa dominante. Obvio, ahorita, pero eso no es una narrativa dominante, eso simplemente es algo que va a ocurrir en el mercado. Estábamos esperando este rebote a 69,000 y aquí lo pueden ver. No mames. Esta tabla está tal cual como estaba antes. Pueden ver por qué es importante este nivel de los 69, máximo histórico del ciclo pasado por acá. Esta zona es muy importante para el precio de Bitcoin. Aquí debería de rechazarnos. Ahora, literalmente platicamos de lo que estábamos viendo y fue esto. Cuando estábamos viendo la tabla mensual, les dije acá, perdimos el 34 en esta zona y literalmente no pompeó, solamente caímos. 34, no pompeó, literalmente solo caes. Y ahora, la última vez, la caída te llevó abajo el 55 y eso te pone abajo de los $62,000. Está literalmente, no sé cómo se le haya ido esto a tanta gente. Es idéntica a la puta tabla. Lo hemos visto 1000 veces. Da igual, X. Así que no diría que eso es una narrativa dominante. Eso es el sentimiento dominante, Julio. Por ende, estás cerca de ver, porque ve la trampa que te está poniendo la mensual, tío. Estás empezando el mes, te está diciendo que no te preocupes, va a cerrar aquí arriba y que va a hacer esto y va a ranguear acá, ¿no? Es lo que todo el mundo se imaginaría. Pero una vez más, si volteas a ver los mercados bajistas de antes, esto fue idéntico. El próximo mes es el que te debería de llevar. Bueno, si no lo hace este mes, vamos a ver. Ahí está. Normalmente enero y febrero en Bitcoin son bajistas. Marzo es donde nos dio el pompazo a los 47 y en Solana a los 140 y después nos tiró. Yo estaría esperando lo mismo. No me gustaría ver a Bitcoin caer tan rápido ni a la bolsa caer tan rápido, porque eso sería muy nuevo para todos nosotros. Y eso nos pondría en otra posición. Tendríamos que plantear otras cosas. Entonces, quiero continuar esto. Yo esperaría que esto nos rechace para continuar para abajo y si no lo hace ahí, probablemente, como dice Alex, 73 con un extremo en el 75. ¿Por qué? Porque ahí tienes el promedio del 34. Aquí fue tal cual eso, ¿no? Un poco más para arriba. Entonces la zona de short va a estar por acá. Ahora, aquí tienes, vean la culerada que le hizo a todo el mundo para no hacer longs, ¿no? ¿Dónde está tu invalidación? Solamente como 40% abajo. Estoy mamando, pero entienden el punto. Ok. Alejandro, disculpa que utilice este espacio, pero evidentemente extraño los... Nadie me preguntó esa Loisa. Vamos a regresar ya, mi Ramón. Ya me dieron ganas de volverlo a hacer. Buenos días, buenos días. Salo, con el reporte de resultados en los siguientes semana de Coinbase veremos los 114. No me importan los resultados, son irrelevantes. No sé si veremos los 114 en las próximas semanas. Lo único que me importa de Coinbase es qué es lo que le pasa a Bitcoin y a cripto. Si ellos caen, Coinbase cae. No hay una gran ciencia a esto. No se me preocupen. La gente que lee reportes de ingresos y todas esas mamadas, ¿creen que yo leo los reportes de ingreso? Leo la parte importante, que es lo que está pasando y qué están haciendo, pero no me interesa para nada lo que están haciendo. reportes de ingresos. Una de las pérdidas de tiempo más grandes de los pacos. En realidad lo hacen porque no sabe leer las tablas, ¿no? La gente que hace reportes de ingresos y estudia esas mamadas. Que no tiene nada de malo, es simplemente otro approach. ¿Le pegaría Bitcoin a los 70,000 por continuar cayendo? ¿Le pegará Bitcoin a los 70,000 hoy para continuar cayendo? Es más o menos la idea. Es donde estamos viendo dónde va a ser el corto, si lo va a hacer antes de 69, si va a llegar a 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. Yo les voy a decir, la mejor idea, si vas a entrar en un trade, poder dividirlo, porque está peligrosona la cosa. Y acá no tienes una invalidación todavía. Ahorita la vamos a analizar. Pregunta Víctor. Buenas, tío Salo. Para seguir las compras del portafolio que nos estás dando, ¿me recomiendas hacer directamente desde mi banco o mejor un broker como Interactive Brokers? No sé qué sea Interactive Brokers. Yo, si vas a usar un broker, solamente uso de los más grandes del mundo. No uses los exchanges que te estamos dando nosotros, por ejemplo, cualquier pendejo. Ve con Fidelity, Robinhood, cualquier banco gringo en Estados Unidos lo tiene, en México GBM. No vayas a comprar esto en exchanges piteros con acciones tokenizadas, tío, por favor. Esto es literalmente importante porque lo vas a dejar por mucho tiempo en donde lo compres. MicroStrategy a la alza hoy, se salvó de los 90. Elías sí, pero me dejó corto en Amazon. Bien. Pregunta, tengo el programa completo y tengo entendido que dentro del programa hay una opción de tutos para aprender. ¿Cómo puedo obtener esa herramienta y seguir aprendiendo antes de entrar con todos los poderes al mundo de traders? No es un programa de tutos, te metes al exchange en Bluffing y en la parte arriba a la derecha te pone modo, ¿cómo se dice? Puta madre. Modo de simulación. Modo de simulación. Ok, vamos a empezar con esto. El análisis de los Bitcoin. Algo que aprendí que definitivamente no voy a volver a hacer es lo que había estado aprendiendo en las bajadas. Es que normalmente cuando tienes una bajada te la da en 3 impulsos. Esto es un promedio de un dump chingón, ¿ok? El de ayer fueron 5 o 6. Fue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fue un pedo así. Porque en cada zona importante nos rebotó. Yo pude haberme llevado un chingo de lana en cada rebote, pero porque me había... Y ahora les voy a ser honesto, y esto es lo que tenemos que aprender todos nosotros siendo honestos con nosotros mismos. Por haberme llevado ese super short que había hecho, dije, güey, a la verga, si estoy comprando el extremo, me voy a aguantar y no me va a eliminar. Y regresé con la misma mentalidad de pendejo. Tuve 2 trades seguidos que perdí y ahorita no voy a tradear hasta el lunes. Ese es mi timeout. Disciplina, 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 disciplina. Para no estar nublado y no estar de, quiero perseguir esto, no me interesa. No voy a preocuparme, me la va a pasar de huevos. Hoy es viernes, lo que sea. Pero definitivamente cuando ves caídas enormes, lo más fácil es shortear los rebotes. Es lo que habíamos platicado, ¿no? Si vas con la tendencia, ve con las tendencias. Es mejor que esperar el long. Es más fácil en este tipo de caídas cuando estás viendo volatilidad en la de 2 semanas hacer esto. No vuelvo a meter las manos, damas y caballeros, en la dirección contraria. O si lo hago, lo voy a hacer ganando $1,000, $2,000, pero el riesgo no lo vale. Así que para que me quede claro. Pero gracias a Dios, Alex también mandó los cortos y rápidamente cambiamos de visión en este tiro. Así que ahí lo tenemos. ¿Qué es lo que querían ver? Apple, bla, bla, bla. Mr. Farjano, can you do Apple real quick? Just because I am having a bowel emergency.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I
No
apologize.
worries. Have a good poop.
Oh, I will. One second. Is Apple APPL?
I think it's AAPL. AAPL.
It's right. Oh my God. You know what? I'm a retard. I can just do this, and see it. There you go. Thank you.
The most beautiful stock we've ever seen.
All
Apple.
you. Ahora regreso. Voy rápido al baño y les doy Bitcoin.
All right. So now we'll get started on Team Apple. So one of the few things that we've have enough data for 6 months, so we'll start with the 6 month on this. And if we notice momentum is now freshly flipping back up on the 6 month, and volatility is now freshly about to go into expansion. It's reaching right around the moving average right now. It's just below the moving average. And we are currently also forming bearish divergence here because if we see there's higher highs on price with lower highs on momentum, but it's going to be a little difficult to confirm this bearish divergence as of this moment. You will have to close below about $169.21, nice number. And if you can confirm that divergence, that gets your target down to somewhere around this 55 EMA, which is at about like $80 to $90. Unlikely at this point this divergence is going to confirm. More likely it's just going to sit in the background until you make a higher high on momentum, and then it'll no longer be possible. On the jewel, you are starting to also lose the downwards curvature. It's not really upwards or downwards curvature. Now it's more sideways, and it's still giving you a neutral signal. This goes along with on the last close ever so slightly by a bull side here closing over this median, which gives you a probability of backtesting that median and then using it as expansion, which you are now doing. And if you can close once again over the median, you can target towards somewhere around this 38.2%, which is right now at about $343. Let's see how much of a move that is up from here. That's about 20% higher than where we are now. Quarterly is currently flipped up on momentum with volatility now approaching 0% at extreme lows. Let's zoom in on the jewel. We are losing the curvature downwards, and it's still neutral, but now it's starting to look like it's going to curve back up soon. This is more of a flat line curvature, though. It's not really a positive or a neutral or a negative. And we are getting now the pink firstly crossing above the yellow, which is a positive, but it's happening very, very high up. So it's likely not going to be as powerful as if it would happen lower on. But this did take us on Apple to new all-time highs every single time that this has happened. Because Apple seems to get this within the bullish control zone. It doesn't really drop out of the bullish control zone. And that took us up to at least a 38.2% every time. And that would take us up to about $380. Not bad. And quarterly is about to get a close over the median as well. Well, not about to, but in about 2 months, we'll get a close over the median. We're ever so slightly over it. So if you can close over that median, that takes us to that 38.2%. And every single time we have one of these pink over yellow crosses, we actually went higher than 38.2%. But I'm just being conservative and saying 38.2%. Monthly is also now freshly flipping back up, getting back into the bullish control zone with a rejection on the first type around, and the volatility is now once again expanding. Zoom in here. And that was a nice retest of 38.2%, and we're still holding it and continuing to expand off of it. Right now, we want to see a close over what's this top, the wick high, and this which lines up currently with the 61.8%, right around $290-ish, about $290, and that should take you up into somewhere around this to 78.6 to 88.3%, around that 335 to 400 zone, which that 380 was right in between there. Anything else here? Zoom in. There's some slight bearish divergence, not really the most crazy, but it will confirm with the close below 243. That gives you a move down to about $200. 2 week is very close to flipping back up here with volatility at extreme lows. Let's see, there's some hidden bullish divergence here as well because we took out all of these lows on momentum with price making a higher low. That will confirm with any close over 262, which we are over at the moment, and that gives us a move into somewhere around 290 to 315. Weekly also flipping back up, getting out of the bearish control zone with volatility now at extreme lows. Weekly is also putting in possible hidden bullish divergence. Although on the opposite hand, there is a bearish cross, although it kind of looks like it's going to be invalidated here. Divergence will confirm with any close over about $255, actually $262, same number as before, and then that gives you a target into somewhere around $300. 5 days also flipped up, basically the same look as the weekly, although 5 days forming, or actually no bearish divergence here because you haven't made a higher high just yet. You had bearish divergences along this point here, but you did confirm those and you have hit the easy target. And you're also getting that pink below yellow across on the 5-day also. It kind of looks like it's going to be invalidated. 2 week is getting into the bullish control zone with volatility expanding, getting a move into the 78.6%. As of now, you are rejecting the 78.6% from this last close, but now you're ever so slightly over it, right around that region at about $278. If you can get a close over that area, then that takes you into somewhere around high 200s to 300, like 290 to 300. Daily now flipping back up on momentum with volatility now once again expanding. Daily is giving you a bullish cross with the pink above the yellow. This is happening above the bearish control zone, but it's happening below the bullish control zone. So it's not going to be negligible. Plus, you're getting a fresh silver cross to the upside on the daily. We want to see a close over about 278, and then you can see expansion into somewhere around 300 bucks. 4 hours now starting to flip down on momentum with volatility going into contraction. 4-hour jewel is now flipping neutral. Curvature is kind of sideways, so not really positive or negative here. Just want to see continue closures over year 5 and 5 EMA and 38.2%, which has now just been a perfect retest of this 5 EMA and 38.2%. And if you can get a close over about 279, a little slightly over 278, then you should see a move into somewhere around 300 bucks. 2 hours now very close to flipping back up, right around the moving average. Moving average is lining up with the bullish control zone. 2 hours now forming hidden bullish divergence, and it lines up with the top of this 38.2%. The divergence will confirm with any close over 277, and if you can also close over about 278, which is the 279, which is the top 38.2%, then you should see a move into somewhere around 290 to 300 bucks. All right, now let's look at the other side. Alrighty, let's see. Nothing here. Quarterly's got multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over $205. You've hit the easy target, which is the simple moving average. The next target is the critical zone, and that currently sits at about 430 bucks. This will update and probably several times. Monthly is now about to put in a fresh drive of hidden bullish divergence. I hate when it does this. This will be 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence, and this will confirm with any close over about $272.26. And that gives you a move into, let's zoom in, somewhere around this bullish control zone, which currently sits at about 300 bucks. And the next level is the critical zone, which sits at about 475. Weekly also has active hidden bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over $248. Next target is somewhere between the bullish control zone and the simple moving average, which puts you between 292 and 297, so right about 300 bucks. 5-day already has confirmed hidden bullish divergence. Gives you a target somewhere around 300 bucks. 3-day also has multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence. Gives you a target about 300 bucks. Daily gets active hidden bearish divergence, although this is basically taken out here and validated once you got this close. I don't know why it hasn't put in a local top here. Would target your critical zone though, however, which is right below 300 bucks at 292. Let's look at momentum. All right. 6-month momentum is freshly flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over about $282, which we are slightly below at this moment. You got 4 months, about 5 months left to go, which is an eternity in any market land. quarterly is currently flipped down, but it's very close to flipping back up with volatility at extremes, and they will flip back up if you can close over 279, which we are right around right now. Monthly is currently already flipped back up with volatility expanding from extreme lows, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 2782. 2-week is currently flipped down, but very close to flipping back up, and it will flip back up if you can close over 282. Weekly is also very close to flipping back up with volatility expanding from extreme lows, and it will flip back up if you can close over 272. And this will be a rejection of the bearish control zone if you flip back up here. Likely take that takes you into the bullish control zone. Same thing with the 5-day. Volatility is now expanding from extreme lows, very close to flipping back up right at the edge of the bearish control zone, and it will flip back up if you can close over 273. 2-day is also currently flipped up already with the derp of life and volatility expansion, and it will remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 253. Daily is also flipped up with volatility expansion, and it will remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 275. And 4 hours now very close to flipping back up, and it will flip back up if you can close over about $278. So back up to the high time frames. The high time frames are now shifting once again back into bullish posturing for Apple, although I don't know when they've ever not been in bullish posturing for Apple on the high time frames. 6-month momentum is especially flipping back up, and it will remain flipped up with volatility now right around the zones where it likes to start expanding from. And quarterly momentum is very close to flipping back up. Monthly is also already flipped up. Monthly has hidden bullish divergence plus volatility expansion, and with all the low time frames also leaning to the upside, putting in fresh bullish divergences, it does look like you're going to continue this move up into somewhere around $290 to maybe $300. And in that $300 area, I do expect to see a rejection from the first type round, nice psychological $300 figure, and then likely make a higher low somewhere around there, and then you can make another attempt into somewhere around above $300 to make some new all-time high in that zone. But the next RSI target would be somewhere around like $380, I think. Somewhere around $380 to $385 is the next RSI bullish divergence target. And the invalidation will be, let's see, getting a weekly close back below about $243. So that happens, $243. That happens, you're likely going to sweep these lows, maybe retest this 200 SMA somewhere around $200 flat. More likely, I think you're going to see that move up to about 300, maybe higher low in that region, rejection to higher low, and then maybe some sideways, and then busting into 300s after that.
Nice. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated, senor. Damn, Bitcoin's at 69. Not bad. Y entonces, Bitcoin ya está en 69,500 para que lo tengan en mente, damas y caballeros. Aquí lo tienen. Vamos a empezar rápido con el análisis de Bitcoin y ahora me voy a Apple en un segundo. Perdón. Vamos a empezar con la trimestral en los Bitcoin, damas y caballeros. Lo hemos dicho 1000 veces, vamos a seguirlo diciendo para toda la gente que esté regresando, que es lo primero que vamos a ver. Teoría de velas, ¿no? Más bien patrón de velas, alcista. Altos, altos más 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 altos, bajos, bajos más altos, bajos más altos, bajos más altos, hasta acá. Toda la parte de acá, esta estructura trimestral ha sido comprometida y no hemos hecho un nuevo bajo más bajo que este. Me encanta lo predatorio que es Bitcoin, lo pueden ver justamente acá. Esta vela, el bajo está en 58,890, lo que me hace pensar que esto, haciendo un bajo en 60, solamente $2,000 de diferencia, es la excelente trampa para todos los demás. ¿Por qué? Normalmente cuando estudiamos análisis técnico nos dicen que si haces un bajo más alto, ¿no? Es alcista. Pero en Bitcoin, recordemos que lo que nos encanta hacer es, vean estos bajos de acá, vean este de acá, no lo tocó, pero ¿qué pasó después? Pito, justamente pito es lo que va a pasar después con esta vela. El ciclo es demasiado parecido al del 2021 en cómo se comportó, sobre todo en menores temporalidades. Ahorita les enseño la mensual. Cuando estamos ahorita viendo esta tabla en el gráfico de 3 meses, podemos también, ya más allá de la estructura de las velas, ver que tenemos una vela envolvente bajista. Este tipo de velas señalan reversión, ¿ok? ¿Qué quiere decir reversión? Que si estaba para arriba, ahora va para abajo y justamente se está dando, es lo que habíamos dicho. Más allá de que tienes estructura alcista, tienes un patrón de reversión, vela topera, instantánea confirmación. Una vez que perdiste el promedio del 5 en el ciclo del 2021, que fue esta, caíste hasta el casi 34. Acá perdiste el promedio del 5 en la pasada, ahora estás perdiendo el promedio del 9 y esto quiere decir que entre el 21 y el 34 deberías de continuar. Eso quiere decir que el próximo rango a abrir van a ser 46 a 58 o a 59. Básicamente esta zona de aquí abajo. Y va a llegar, yo diría que efectivamente, una vez más, normalmente cuando vemos un fondo bueno, pero bueno, no tiene un rebote como el que tienes ahorita. Cuando estás hablando del fondo, ¿ok? No estoy hablando del local. Fondo y que ahora podemos ir a altos históricos. Cuando tienes un fondo, las noticias alrededor de lo que está fondeando son pésimas, pésimas. Así como en el tope te cuentan las mejores cosas, no, es que Tesla ya descubrió autonomía, Oracle ya compró TikTok y te coge, es al revés esto. Y todavía no tenemos una sola cosa de noticias negativas. Están empujando narrativas creadas por nosotros. Es el principio. Michael Saylor va a ser líquido. Otra vez, ¿no? Binance va a quebrar otra vez. Nadie aprende nada. Es lo mismo una vez más. Así que todavía para la gente que está fuera, que todavía no se ha metido, etcétera, o que creen que ya se les fue el tren, están todavía muy adelante. Se los digo. No tiene por qué esto ponerlos nerviosos. Estamos simplemente poniendo dinero que habíamos nosotros puesto al lado y preparado para este momento. Entonces, deja que suba, pero no te me emociones. No porque veas Circle, porque veas todas estas cosas arriba, 12%, etcétera. Es una victoria que chingamos, ¿no? Ya compramos el fondo, no. Va a bajar más, tío. Pero así como no debes de celebrar ahorita, no debes de ponerte triste cuando baje más, porque es la idea. Es un poco como lo bueno dentro de lo malo, ¿no? Porque definitivamente tienes que poner atención a estas cagadas, pero lo bueno es que vas a hacer un chingo de dinero. Lo malo es que por un rato, en lo que estás comprando y promediando, vas a estar en la mierda con tu cartera. Pero es lo que pasa, cabrón. Así que tranquilos todos, por favor, no se emocionen, no se alteren, tengan un estado muy neutral de ánimo en cuanto a sus inversiones se refiere, porque esto, por más fácil que sea solamente comprar cuando baje, anímicamente te desgasta y tienes que estar listo para eso, siendo neutral en tus emociones, ni para arriba ni para abajo, me da igual, güey. Lo único que estoy viendo es, voy a comprar cuando baje más, tengo mis planes para mis entradas y lo único que estoy al pendiente todo el tiempo es de que me tiren la mala noticia. Si ahorita salen y me dicen es el fin del mundo mañana, voy a comprar todo de una vez. ¿Ok? Eso quiere decir fondo. No lo hay todavía. No se me preocupen para nada. Vamos a regresar. No se emocionen porque rebotó. Nada. Nada, 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 nada. Y ahora, ¿por qué compramos fondo en Circle en 52? ¿Por qué compramos cerca del fondo en Coinbase en 154, 6, lo que haya sido? Que se vea así. Simplemente tenía que rebotar. Por eso compramos. ¿Ok? Técnicamente lo que queríamos es encontrar una zona donde estuviera súper castigado Bitcoin para comprar sus acciones correlacionadas, ¿ok? Por ahora esto es muy bajista, estando debajo del promedio del 9 trimestral, es mega bajista, tienes el setup de volatilidad en el punto más bajo de toda la historia creándose, lo que nos dice que va a dar el movimiento de Bitcoin más fuerte en toda la historia, puede ser para arriba o para abajo, así que atentos. Mensual, estamos perdiendo el 34 y vamos rumbo al 55. Esto es lo que habíamos dicho antes. En la mensual, una vez que perdiste el 34, nunca volviste a subir de él. Y les dije acá, ¿qué tal si no volvemos a subir acá a los 82 y nos quedamos acá? Y fue tal cual como pasó. Una vez más, no adivinando el futuro, solamente viendo lo que pasó antes. El 9 está por debajo, el 5 ya está por debajo del 9 y ahí vamos por el 21, lo que indica mucha más debilidad. Esto apenas está empezando. Nuestro setup mensual había estado apuntando para arriba agresivamente en el dump y se volvió a echar para atrás ahorita en el pompazo, lo que señala que estamos ante una corrección con esta vela y que vamos a tener continuación muy probablemente. También tienes setup de volatilidad en el punto más bajo de la tabla en toda la historia, lo que te dice que también viene el movimiento más grande en toda la historia de los Bitcoin. Puedes ver perfectamente dónde estás en esto. Esta es la estructura del mercado alcista del 2024 para adelante. Y esto es básicamente a donde te diriges, a esta zona más o menos, para que lo tengas en mente. No toda, pero probablemente esta, para chopear un rato. 2 semanas, también tienes volatilidad expandiendo. Esto fue lo que nos dijo que esto iba a caer rico y continúa buscando ese SMA 200. No hay mucho que ver por acá. Estamos perdiendo la zona vital de los 82,000. Abajo de los 82,000, estamos debajo de los 74,000. Eso nos pone literalmente en un rango entre, yo usaría 76,000 y muy probablemente $58,000 por ahora. Semanal tienes volatilidad que estaba expandiendo, estaba intentando expandir ante la caída y se está echando para atrás ahora. Eso quiere decir que estamos ante un movimiento correctivo aguantando el SMA 200. Este nos lo vamos a llevar, no importa cómo lo quieras ver, crees que no. Estamos ante esto. Llegaste acá, quiero que lo vean. El ciclo del 2021, 22. Llegaste, te dio la vela que no es cierto y pito, ahí es donde estás. ¿No? Eso quiere decir que pum, 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 unas velitas y pito en un par de semanas. Diaria, cruce plateado, todo bajo, y tienes tu promedio del 9 acá, bajo un cruce plateado, lo que nos dice que 75,000 sería la opción extrema para un corto. Cortos, honestamente, no me voy a meter acá en los 69 porque si eliminaron tantos waves para abajo, van a eliminar para arriba. Yo creo que 75 sería la opción correcta para abrir. Empezaría yo en 74,500 con el promedio del 5, luego el promedio del 9 en los 75 y fuera de los 75 yo no creo que pases de los 76. Si yo pasara de los 76,800, esta madre va a venir a los 81 y me saldría. Y es donde y cómo lo usaría, damas y caballeros. Esos son sus Bitcoin. Farn, you want to do one more before you go? So you can go and chill?
Yeah.
All righty.
Let me give this Coke Zero real quick. I apologize to Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
What is it? BMNR. Oh, Bitmine. BMNR.
Is that the one where that dude is down like $8 billion or something?
I think so.
Alrighty. Switch to HPDR. Bitmine Immersion Technologies. So he's on par with with JP Morgan for the largest loss ever, and they did that in the 2008 financial crisis. Very impressive.
That's amazing. Good job.
It takes skill to lose that amount of money. And he only did it by top blasting ETH at $4,000. All right. Let's start with the 6 month. So we are getting momentum now flipped up on the 6 month, although this is likely going to be one of those ones where momentum is flipped up into the bear market. And we have a rejection of our 100%, which brings us down to reconnecting with somewhere around the 50% to the 38.2%, which I am more partial towards 38.2%. And that is a significant dump ski from our highs, let alone our highs, like right about the highs, even from where we are now. 38.2% sits below $9 at $8.52. If you were to take it from this high here, that is a drop of 94%. 95%. From where we are as of this moment, that is a drop of like 55%. And not good. See this bearish divergence here? Yeah, there is bearish divergence indeed forming between these points here. There's a higher high, hidden bearish divergence after you take out this high here while price made a lower high. And that also would target that 38.2%, somewhere around $8.50. How long has this thing been around? From 2000. What did they do before? There was no Bitcoin back then. They might have had a different name, I guess. Quarterly is also still flipped up, still within the bullish control zone with volatility still expanding. Although you're likely with the rejection of this 100%, make your way down. And since you're losing your 9 EMA as well, more likely you're going to come down and retest this 38.2%, which puts you right around that $9 region at $9.26. Monthly also currently flipped down with volatility now very close or ticking up from extreme lows, although it is still significantly below the moving average, so it's not really close to expansion just yet. You are getting a little bit of a bounce from this bottom 38.2%. It's at about $16.83. So if you do bounce from here, it does make sense to retest somewhere around $24, which is the median. But as long as you are trading below about $24, you're just going to make a lower high before continuing lower. 2 week is currently flipped back down, entering into the bearish control zone, getting below your 38.2%. And you have a back test of your 38.2% and a rejection as of now, with momentum testing the edge of the bearish control zone. And you're about to get a bearish cross here on the jewel with the pink about to cross below the yellow. But this is happening pretty low. It's happening within the bearish control zone, so it's not going to be as powerful as if it happened higher up, but it's still not going to be negligible. This does kind of seem like downwards consolidation before busting up again, if you were to just look at it based off of in terms of the simple candles here. All right. Weekly is now very close entering into the bearish control zone. Right at the edge of the bearish control zone, it's putting in some possible bullish divergence here because you are making a higher low on momentum with a lower low on price. Although to confirm this, you will need to close over about $29.76. And if you can't confirm that, that gives you a move back into somewhere around upper 40s to maybe $50. And you're also getting a rejection of getting out of the bearish control zone on the jewel, making it less likely you're going to get that bullish divergence. 5 days now flipped down also right at the edge of the bearish control zone. 5 days also putting in possible bullish divergence. 5 days also rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone on the jewel. And the 5-day needs to close over about $34.39 to confirm that divergence. And you're about to lose your 38.2% on the 5-day as well as the 200 SMA. You got about 4.5 hours left to close. Close below this area, likely you're going to get a bearish retest in this area and then continuation down until about $9. 3 days now also in the bearish control zone with volatility currently expanding. Also rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone on the jewel, and you've already lost your 200 SMA. So if you do see a bounce from here, like it takes you into this 38.2%, right around that $22, maybe $24 area, high probability rejection and then continuation down. Same thing basically with the 2-day. Approaching your 200 SMA and 38.2%, around $22. High probability reject and then continue. Daily also about to test the edge of the bearish control zone and the moving average after a nice move into the bearish control zone. Lines up with about same area, 22 to $24. 4-hour starting to get out of the bearish control zone with volatility contracting and for God mode signal on the jewel flipping neutral. Hasn't flipped buy just yet, but it is giving you the God mode and the neutral signal. And this goes along with regaining the bottom 38.2%, which should take you to somewhere around the median to the top 38.2%, which gives you the same region of $22 to $24. Let's look at momentum. That's weird. Why does it look like that? The scaling is all types of fucked up. This thing traded in the thousands. I'm guessing they must have done one of those things where the split or the reverse of the split. There we go. Making a local top here on the quarterly. That makes sense. You're getting your move down to the simple moving average after that. And simple moving average currently says, it's impossible. Wonderful. And the bearish control zone currently sits at about $17. 6 months is about to put in a fresh drive of hidden bearish divergence. This will be 3 drives of hidden bearish divergence on the 6 month, quite bad. And this will confirm with any close below $33.90. Yikes, we are a good amount away from that as of this moment. And that gives us a target somewhere between the simple moving average and the bearish control zone. And that puts you currently at 376 for even the simple moving average. And the bearish control zone says it's impossible. So this likely updates. We got some yearly bullish divergence though. This is going to take a long time to play out. This will be active as long as you're closing over $7.80, and your next target is the neutral zone, which currently sits at about $40. But this is going to take a long ass fucking time to play out. Maybe a couple of years. Local top here on the monthly. Hit the easy target though. The next area is the neutral zone. Currently sits at about $7.80. Yikes. Nothing. 5 days making a local top. Right at the edge of the bearish control zone. Critical zone is now sitting at about $16. 3-day also has active hidden bearish divergence close to the critical zone. Critical zone sits at about $10.86. Mm, 4 hours making a local bottom here. Likely tag somewhere around the simple moving average, the edge of the bearish control zone. Puts you somewhere between $21 and where's the bearish control zone? $24, $21 and $24. Same region you saw it before. And 2 hour now has active bullish divergence. This will be active as long as you're closing over $17.41, and gives a target to the neutral zone, which currently is at about $22.85. Now let's check momentum. So now the new narrative I'm seeing on Twitter is that Eric Trump is supposedly invested heavily in Bitcoin mining operations, and the Donald is supposedly going to bail his son out and not let him fail. So this is why you should buy Bitcoin.
Oh, so they're trying to get him. Oh, nice. They're trying to get him all in right now. I'm seeing on the Discords. Discord is an excellent tool to, number one, destroy your health, and number two, to be able to follow really stupid narratives. Everyone's like, I'm having FOMO. I'm looking at it. Did we touch? I've been sidelined for nearly half a decade, and I'm getting FOMO. It's time to go in. Yeah, I'm DCAing since yesterday. Like, all the fucking stupid things in the world are happening.
Yeah,
so there you have it. It's
that was a
fucking fuck everyone over.
That's an exceedingly funny and copium scenario that Trump has to bail out Bitcoin because his son has miners.
Well, it's not a copium. It's whatever. Hey, listen, whatever idiots need to hear, they'll give you. Because what they're doing, and this is something that I was saying, what's the narrative right now for the dump? There's none. What is it?
Something about Binance, no?
No, but those are normal, right? Like Binance is going to collapse. MicroStrategy is going to collapse. Those are every cycle things. And the other one, there was a third one. I can't remember right now. But what we're doing ourselves, like people, we're all hyping these crazy theories, and let's just call it the algorithm, or the people in charge are putting them up so that people see them. So that is creating a sense of fear, but it's doing it little by little. Like right now in Iran, you know how they keep repeating people in China, Chinese urging people to leave Iran right now. People in the U.S. are telling people in Iran, people from the U.S. are telling people in Iran to get out of there, right? Like they're doing that. They're causing that. They try to create like war type of fear this weekend. And no one's telling you the truth about what's going on in Iran, for example. What I'm getting at is they're using that to just keep fear so that you don't make good decisions. And whenever they want to dump, because when are we going to find the bottom? Whenever they tell us that Bitcoin is dead, right? Whenever it's not going to go up, and the worst thing ever on bad news. So until that happens, they're confusing everyone with little narratives so that everyone is just chopping themselves out of the trade. That's it. Like until you see something huge that everyone is repeating as a fact, and you see it on the news, and there's like a repeated thing in all of the accounts, none of that counts. That's just like them turning up the volume in the confusion for people.
Yeah, and the hopium for buying and continuing to buy, and for the people who are underwater on their bags, like, it's okay, it'll come back.
Exactly. That's what they're doing right now. I mean, how can you think that this is the bottom of the Bitcoin market or the stock market? And people are legitimately all, because I got messages. I bought Circle and Coinbase, my first purchases. I told people this is the price. And I got messages today like, thank you, I bought the bottom. I'm like, no, dude, we're just starting. Like, there's nothing to celebrate. We're going to go further down. And I don't want you to be excited right now. And I don't want you to be sad when it's coming down, because that's the point.
You just take your gains and sell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of patience and not falling into those stupid narratives. I mean, how many times is Binance going to be liquid and, like all of the MicroStrategy thing? How many times are you going to fall for this? It's
Quick,
up to us, right?
Sarah, 1 billion Bitcoin now.
It's so funny. Those are my favorite memes in the universe.
1 billion.
Now, Sarah Quadrillion.
Send it to 0.
So good.
This is the craziest chart I've ever seen. This was trading at $45 million at a point.
That's unreal.
Yeah, $77 million. Not bad for one share of Bitmine. I guess this is the real Bitcoin. Although it's just going down only.
Yeah, opposite.
It went all the way down to 0.0020 after $77 million. Just for shits and giggles, let's see how much of a percentage down that is. 100%. I guess after 100%, there's nothing lower than that.
Wow.
Looks great. So on the quarterly momentum, we are currently flipped up, although you're well within the critical zone, and you're going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $15.52. Quarterly is also flipped up, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $9.15, with volatility now expanding. So if you were to come down at $9, you would just be tapping the quarterly pivot. Let's see what else there is. And lower low, so there's no bullish divergence here. Monthly is currently flipped down with volatility contracting, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below $51. 2 week is currently also flipped down with volatility expanding, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below $26. Weekly is also flipped down, and it's going to remain flipped down as long as you're closing below $21. 5 days also flipped down, and it's going to be flipped down as long as you're closing below 1982, which you are very close to flipping back up in about 4 hours. 2 days also very close to flipping back up, and it will flip back up if you can close over in 1962 with volatility expanding. And daily is also very close to flipping back up, and it will flip back up if you can close over 1804. 4 hours already flipped back up with volatility now contracting, and it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over 1831. So in the high time frames, it does kind of look like shit. It has gone down only from $77 million all the way down to about 20, less than a cent. I don't know what fraction that is of a cent, but that's 0.0022 from $77 million. Not bad. That is a drop of $76.9999999 million. Very tricky look here, but the momentum is still flipped up on the high time frames. Likely this is going to be flipped up for a while. Even if you were to come down to about $9, that would keep quarterly momentum, or would just be a tap of the quarterly momentum pivot. On the low time frames, you are getting momentum flipped up. 4 hours flipped up daily. It's very close to flipping back up. 2 day, 3 day, 5 day. All of these are very close to flipping back up. It lines up with a little bit of a bounce from this zone to tag somewhere around $22 to $24. But as long as you are closing below below that $24 region on a weekly closing basis, it is very likely you are going to continue downwards to tag somewhere around $9 to $10 after that, and then we have to see the reaction in that $9-$10 zone to see if that can possibly be our bottom or not. But this thing kind of just does trend to zero. So probably not, probably just going to make a lower high and then continue to make lower lows until you can fill out this wick for 22 cents, which is a long way down to go, but not nearly as long as we've already come down from $77 million.
Thank you so much, senor. Do you got to go?
Yeah, I have to pass the wedding register thing.
All right, before you go, we bought that long as a joke yesterday to show. Someone said, "Can you please open a trade and show me how to open a trade on BTCC on stocks?" And we did it on strategy. Obviously, the price is not ideal. We still won, baby. Come on,
Mazel tov.
Come on.
Muchas gracias to whoever asked that question.
That's what I said. Thank you, Ramon. I appreciate you. All right, well, you get out there, enjoy yourself. Good luck with everything, and I'll see you here.
Muchas gracias, and apologies about that.
No, thank you. Damas y caballeros, se nos tiene que ir buen Farhan, Alex también. ¿Saben qué? Denme tantito. Espérame tantito, déjenme pongo esto. Segundo es que prenda. Denme tantito tiempo y hablamos de los... les hago un video de nadie me preguntó y así. Que la bolsa ahorita está en un rebote y no hay tanto. Más allá de lo de Bitcoin que vimos, va a ser un poco de lo mismo. Vamos a rebotar y volver a caer. Y sin estos cracks no quiero yo solamente darles el análisis de mierda, ¿no? Voy a regresar, los veo en un rato para hablar de un nadie me preguntó. Ya verán, les tengo uno bueno. Un abrazote. Gracias, perro, gracias.